Yo, everybody, what's up? It's your boy right here, Kenny Crouch, once again back for another banger video. And the reason I say banger is because some of these topics I do talk about are video game related, so that's why I say banger and stuff. And that's why I'm always all like yo and stuff. So, yeah, all I gotta say. So in the last video, I already covered everything that I need to about the Sega and Sonic acquisition, and I told you one of the people in the comments below named Paul. I already mentioned to you his name in in the last video. He's from Russia and stuff and everything. And again, I did mention to you one of my commenters on hit. Well, hold on, give me a minute. Well, the video speaks for itself, and I think he also added a little more detail on the cherry on top for a few more things he said about the future of Angry Birds. Like he had another comment related to more details about the future of Angry Birds when I said my points or something. I don't know, something like it. But he added a little more details and explanations on what do you need to say about the future of Angry Birds, and I respect that from him. I really do respect that. But but in this video, this is going to be different. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about my experience with the Angry Birds series. Because in the last video, I think I mentioned a little bit of my origin with Angry Birds. I did kind of hint it a little bit, but now it's time I now it's time I bring up to light a little more about it. So my Angry Birds adventures dates back to 2012 when I was at the YMCA in Creve Coeur while my brother was practicing swimming. I was sitting with my mom, bored and not doing nothing. So my mother felt bad for me and decided to give her her phone, which instantly I was introduced to the world of gaming and mobile gaming. With a couple of mobile games related to a SpongeBob cooking game, I think, and on it was an Angry Birds game, the classic, like Angry Birds HD or something, yeah, Angry Birds HD or something like it. So yeah, those were my only options: a SpongeBob mobile game and Angry Birds. So obviously, I experimented with both of them, and instantaneously, they were impressive games. Now, unfortunately, I was young, so I wasn't really. This was my first time into gaming, into that kind of gaming, and I wasn't really that good. And I kept losing every time, mainly with Angry Birds. Like I didn't know how to launch the birds properly, and all that stuff. And yeah, there were just some screw ups because this was my first time, and yeah, at the time it sucked, but it was my first time, so that's kind of how all this started. I started playing Angry Birds on my mother's smartphone, I think, at the YMCA while we were sitting to sitting and watching my brother do his swimming lessons. And I think another origin story with Angry Birds involves a part two where I think during the summer of 2013, I think, or maybe it was the same year 2012 but earlier. My mind is kind of a blur. I do remember when I started Angry Birds, but there's two segments in my mind that comes with two parts that I don't know how it truly started or something. Hard to say. But my other origin, my part two origin with Angry Birds relates where I was in summer school, and with the same thing, I was bored. There was nothing for me to do. I mean, there were other activities, but what do you expect from other activities and stuff? Guys, I'm sure you've been there, done that. And so my one of my summer school teachers were nice enough to give me her iPad, and so they launched up for me one game, and like the last two games I mentioned, this one was Angry Birds related, titled Angry Birds Star Wars. Yeah, you see what I'm going at this here, and I'm sure you guys can remember Angry Birds Star Wars, right? That the 2012 Rovio crossover Star Wars game, basically in collaboration with Rovio and LucasArts at the time. All right, I'm getting off point, but basically what I'm trying to say is that my summer school teacher gave me her iPad, and she launched up Angry Birds Star Wars for me to play and stuff. Now this was a different new mechanic and mechanism and features, so given this was Angry Birds Star Wars, meaning that the features were different compared to Angry Birds and other games. So, and like with the first Angry Birds games, like with the first Angry Birds game, unfortunately I sucked playing Angry Birds Star Wars, and I was still learning to play Angry Birds. So like with the first Angry Birds game, I also sucked playing Angry Birds Star Wars 2. Times I lost, times I screwed up, times I failed. But I think there were times I proceed with every level unless I was someone else that beat the levels before I played the game, something like it. But yeah, that's kind of how my Angry Birds story started. It started with all that stuff right there, and so that's where I am today. So yeah, if it wasn't for all that stuff right there, then I would have I would have gotten to Angry Birds a little too late, and I wouldn't have played any of the games if it wasn't for those origins that I told you guys about. So I'm kind of lucky I'm playing Angry Birds right now, and yeah, that's how I all continued off with that ever since. The same I could relate with Subway Surfers and Cut the Rope, but this one's about Angry Birds. So yeah, yeah, yeah. All I gotta say. Now I want you now. Given what we are, given where we are right now, obviously Angry Birds is not the same as it used to be. Well, I already covered everything that I need to, but I kind of feel like more needs to be said. But I can tell on you guys' faces that you'll be annoyed with the same thing that I brought up last video. So I'm trying to think. Although actually, what am I doing? I'm basically making a video about my origin story with Angry Birds. Okay, then I'll go in a little more depth and detail. So not only that, but I'm also going to tell you guys the origin story of how I played other Angry Birds games, of how I know them pretty well. But I gotta make it quick because this video could drag on forever if it had the chance. So yeah. So short story: Bad Piggies 2012, played it, done it, or I think 2013. Angry Birds Transformers 2014, times I won, times I lost. Angry Birds Go, unique kind of racing game. Angry Birds Angry um Angry Birds Star Wars 1 and 2. I already mentioned Angry Birds Star Wars 1. But yeah, there is Angry Birds Star Wars 2, the prequel and stuff, so we already got past of that. And yeah, the list goes on and on. So, yeah, yeah. Also, I should have mentioned this in the last video, but I didn't because I wasn't thinking about this, but Rovio, what the fuck? What Rovio, what the fuck? And I'm sure you guys are pissed at this too, that they totally were, instead of keeping all the classic games on the apps. Yeah, you guys know where I'm going with this. For some dumbass reason, they decided to shittily get rid of all the Angry Birds games from the app stores, except for Angry Birds Friends, Angry Birds 2, and the new Angry Birds games. I mean, what gives? What gives? And although I have long ago, I did watch a video explaining why that's the case, and I recommend you guys look up on YouTube why Rovio would remove classic Angry Birds games from the App Store. It'll give you some results on YouTube of a couple of videos as to why Rovio removed some Angry Birds games from the App Stores and only kept a few. So, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's also what I want to talk about. And again, I'm sorry I didn't bring this up in the last video. I just wasn't on the idea or concept of it. But yeah, they removed all the games that we know so far from the App Store, ranging from Angry Birds Transformers, Angry Birds Star Wars, Angry Birds Space, which is the other game I played. Same with Angry Birds Rio. They basically removed. I think because of company structure or something, I don't know. They removed all Angry Birds games in favor to restructure their brand for new Angry Birds games, which is kind of bullshit because if they have to make room for new Angry Birds games, that's understandable. But why don't you fit all Angry Birds games together? That would kind of make more sense. But whatever. I'm not a developer. But yeah, that's also what I want to talk about, like the frustration of that they would remove all the Angry Birds games and stuff. I mean, I don't blame Rovio, given the downfall of Angry Birds and how much more greedy Rovio was becoming. I think it's safe. I think we can all agree to disagree that all that sums up Rovio in a nutshell. That Rovio only cares about the money and not their fans. But like I said, Angry Birds Friends and Angry Birds 2 are still up, but it's not the same as it used to be. So, yeah. And I kind of, sorry guys, I'm kind of tired. Not exactly tired, just tired. I was kind of thinking about this, that maybe if Sega buys, when Sega buys Rovio, I was kind of thinking if it's possible Sega could have access to bring the old classic Angry Birds games back. I don't know. That's kind of a mouthful to say, given Sega, and we haven't heard anything else since they announced that they were going to buy Rovio. So I can't say for sure if it's possible that Sega could bring back all of Rovio's Angry Birds games from the past. That's kind of what I like to think. Also, and I'm sure you guys are also aware that I'm sure you might have also played Angry Birds Reloaded. It's basically an Apple Arcade Rovio game where it's basically a remake of a few Angry Birds games, but with new features and all that stuff. That goes for a new Angry Birds story entirely with Angry Birds 2 IPs and the Angry Birds Reloaded that featured classic Angry Birds, Angry Birds Space, all that stuff. So I'm kind of thinking that if Sega will revive and bring back the old Angry Birds games that Rovio deleted, it's possible that they could be reloaded as well too, or revamped, or revitalized in a way. We just don't know how this will turn out, but that's somewhat my guess of what would happen, what will happen. I mean, again, that's kind of my guess of the situation of this, but that's what I like to think. Again, but if Sega does bring back the old Angry Birds games and kinda reloads them as well, hopefully Sega will leave them just the way they are. I mean, yeah, sure they can reboot them and revitalize them just like with Angry Birds Reloaded, but Sega just Sega and Rovio leave the classic games as they are, as they need to be. They're deserved of how they need to and want to, and depending when you're gonna bring them back, just leave them alone as they need to. Again, they can be reloaded, but don't make them too reloaded for us to hate them. Understand, Rovio and Sega, if you're watching this video. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm basically making this video about two important things I need to cover up with Angry Birds for this one, and I think this might be the last topic I might talk about on Angry Birds. It depends, depending whenever I make another video for next time on what new topic or same topic I want to talk about. But for now, this will do. So thanks everybody so much for watching. Subscribe for that if you are new. Comment. Well, you guys know the drill. Comment in the comments below what you need to say on this topic, on what this video is about, and other stuff, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. You guys know the drill. I dare not to say the rest. You guys get the picture. So thank you everybody so much for watching. It's a beautiful, nice day, especially when it's sunny and all that stuff. In the summer wind and summer breezes, they say. I'm looking outside right now as I speak. So take care, you guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye. See ya.